Fitting a tarp to a tent. William Hovey Smith, 2016. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and we very often go on camping trips out to Georgia's Barrier Islands. And here I am with my little outfit here, an older outfit that I've replaced. And you can see how small the tarp is. My other one had given out. I'd bought a replacement, and this one was too small. I then bought one that was much too large and had to trim it.
This is Hovey Smith with Hovey's Outdoor Adventures. And what we have before us now is a new tarp and a new tent. Now the blue tarp underneath is overly long, so I have cut it. Bah! Sure have. And what we're going to do is re-grommet that tarp so it will more nearly fit this new tent. Now my old tent sort of gave up the ghost finally after more than, nearly 30 years of use. So we broke down and we got us a new one, and it has a new floor and new stuff and a little bit bigger. But the tarp I got was just much too long for one guy to handle and put up in the small spaces where I set up. So I've gone ahead and trimmed it. Now there are two ways to fix grommets to these tarps. One is to cut the grommet strip off the other end and sew it where I made the cut here. With sewing and taping, yeah, that'll do just fine. Or I can set new grommets. So we're going to look at it and see what I've got and see which way to go with it.
As you can see, we elected to go with cutting the grommeted end of the other side of the tarp off, and we've now just got it temporarily taped down to the other side. Now I'm going to take duct tape and I'm going to put a row of duct tape on the top of that seam, and then I'm going to sew both the new part of the tarp on, the part with the grommets on it, to the old part and to that reinforcing duct tape, and so that should hold that side of the tarp from wind and other stuff. So that's how we're going to proceed. That was a good straight run, and everything is dry, so that's a good bond. Now this wouldn't have worked, it would have been wet and cold and all this kind of good stuff, which is why I'm doing it on this fairly decent day. So now just the tedious job of sewing all this stuff together with 200-pound thread, and then we'll have our tarp finished.
Hand stitching that tarp was done in my living room, and it took about 4 hours over 2 nights, and I did it while I was watching a couple of movies. Now we broke 3 needles going through all that tarp plus the duct tape as well, but the stitching was sound, and on the island it withstood some pretty severe buffeting from winds that were sometimes up to maybe 30 miles an hour.
It's mid-afternoon, and we've taken our time and put up our camp up. Of course, for one guy, and putting up a strange tent and having to rig everything for the first time, it took longer than usual. Now, the tent is a northwest tent. Well, I don't know northwest of what. Maybe Santa Monica, California. That does not strike me as a very rugged tent as I see it. Very flimsy, has breathing space in the top, a flimsy small fly on it. Now, as you can see, I've rigged my tarp up, including the shortened end over there, which you can barely see in the white. And that's adequate. That's about how much tarp you need for a tent this size. I have an adequate amount of protection in the front and enough room in the back that I can actually cook back there, and even if it should rain. Although this is supposed to be a very dry hunt indeed. We're supposed to have 3 days of beautiful weather. There's no way in the world you can predict what the weather is going to be when you sign up for one of these hunts, because you do it months in advance. But the camp's set up, and we're going to make ready to cook supper. And yeah, well, things are looking good.
Here's my little Ford Ranger in front of the house there at Kilkenny Marina. And here we are loading up to go home. Now, my stuff is being loaded along with another camp of 3 guys who camped much heavier than I did. And here we are heading back to the Kilkenny Marina, and we're nearly there. And you can see the pile of junk on the boat. And here's a happy crew here, and I'm, of course, down in the middle of these guys. They're all bigger than I am, and they help me move my stuff up down the ramp, and great fun. Now, during these camping trips, you share and interchange food and stories and just have a generally good time. And although I shot no hogs, I left with hog meat and 3 hogs' heads, and the new tent worked well. It provided more floor space, and the tarp did just fine. I will have another video about the details of the hunt. Now, among my books are backyard deer hunting, as well as extreme muzzleloading, practical bow fishing, and a new 8-book ebook series on muzzleloading hunting, including muzzleloaders for hunters, as well as hunting big and small game with muzzleloading pistols. Now, I also have a new series of business books in the Profit series, the first of which are ideas for new businesses on how to start your own million or billion-dollar business, and here's a blurb about that. Now, for more information on my books, blogs, and more than 500 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.